Thank you for watching. This is our first show. Some of you may remember that about a year or two ago, I did a show on YouTube called The Spen and Nick Show. And we ran it for about 50 weeks, something like that. We did about 50 episodes once a week with the intention of just getting started. And it started off, well, for Nick, it started off an amazing journey on YouTube. He's absolutely smashing it. For me, less so, let's say. But what I've done is I've been looking for my new Nick for a little while now. And I'm incredibly pleased to say that Nick is now dead to me. And Bex.
Look, let's just be honest. You wanted a better looking, funnier, more interesting brunette sidekick. And here we are. Like,
there we go.
There we
exactly
go.
that.
Yeah.
Nick, I still love you, but you're gone. Look, I've replaced you with a better version. Welcome to the Spen and Bex show. Are we going to call it that?
Why not? Let's see. That's a working title.
See. If anyone has any other suggestions for what this should become, what we should name this, then let us know down in the comments. Don't forget to, no, don't do the subscribe thing yet. Is it a bit too early?
No, do it. Like, comment, share.
Like, comment, share. Make sure you hit the notification bell.
Oh, we're going to be those people, aren't we?
We are becoming those people. Bex, what are we going to do today? What are we talking about? What are we going to introduce these wonderful people to?
Well, I thought, like, let's start at the start. I thought it would be really good for us to talk about where we're coming from, what we're about. You know, we both live in the startup innovation world, and we're both eating our own dog food as self-employed consultants, starting our own businesses. So why not start there? I think that's as good a place as any.
Starting at the start. Jesus, you're good.
I'm trying.
So we're going to start with your start.
Yeah.
It's
now just the Bex show. Like, screw Spence, screw Nick. It's all about me today.
Absolutely right. So it should be. It should
be. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You know, I'm a facilitator, so if I can facilitate your story, then I'll be a happy person. So startups and your journey.
Yeah.
Tell us everything.
Well, as a young girl, no. I think my journey started about 5 years ago. Previously worked in a myriad of places. I've worked for Everton, I've worked in law firms, I've worked at digital agencies, and then went to go and work for an incubator.
By the way, just a minute. I love how you just worked for Everton, like Everton, the freaking football club.
Yeah, the freaking football club. I looked after the Fonz when he came. Henry Winkler knows my name, which is possibly the proudest thing. Like,
wow.
I know.
Cool.
I've been hugged by the Fonz. Yes, it was a proud day. And also, you know, I've dressed up as the mascot before now. I've all kind of manner of bizarre things have happened to me in that place. But it was all of the awesome. Yeah, looking after Pat Vandenhauw when he came over from the States for the 84-85 dinner. A lot of fun times. Yeah, it was an awesome place to work. And then, you know, as a byproduct of that, went to go and work for a retail partner. I've been on centre court at Wimbledon. I've played against Tin Henman at Wimbledon. All sorts of peculiar things for someone who knows nothing about sports whatsoever.
I love that.
Terrifying.
So you decided to change all of these rock and roll sporting lifestyle things.
Yep.
For startup world, and not just the startup world for your own startup, but actually focusing on helping other people with startups, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I to be honest, I fell into it, but it really spoke to me for a number of reasons. Firstly, I love new things. I love change. I love building stuff, creating stuff from nothing. That really excites me. It sounds really, really cheesy, but I love helping people make their dreams come true. You know, I could have been like an 80s TV presenter, like some kind of less scary Jimmy Savile. But I
can't believe we got to Jimmy Savile already.
I've gone right there, like for the jugular. Yeah, I love it. And I think for years working in agencies and things where people would turn around and go, "What's the answer?" And I go, leave it with me. Learning startup methodologies where actually you go out, you learn, you just find out what people really want of you. Let the market draw out of you, that the users draw out of you. It was, yeah, it was like a whole new world had opened up, and I was like, someone had shown me behind the curtain, and I was like, this is the way. So yeah, I worked in it for the last 4 or 5 years. I was a startup consultant working on vapor stage ideas, getting people to the point of getting VC backing and products out in the marketplace. I teach down in a blockchain incubator now, and I work day to day with startups, just trying to work out where they are in the journey, where, there's a map, but the map is not the territory, and where are they, like, and try and help as a bit of a guide and, a bit of a watch out. So helping other people learn from other founders' mistakes, what I've seen in the past, all those kind of things. Making stuff happen. So yeah, it's exciting.
Wow. I love that. Already, I've been excited about doing this for a while, of course.
Yeah,
but already just with those things, there's so many things to dig into. I love your reference, like mental models. I'm a huge fan. I love the reference to the map is not the territory. There's so many great mental models that we can kind of, maybe we should talk about some of that. We should do some kind of episode about mental models sometime.
Without shadow of doubt, love that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, I love the idea of peeping behind the curtain for something that may have seemed like magic, or like, how do these things actually come to fruition, and kind of really just being drawn to that. I love that. I'm interested to know, I think we've kind of spoken about this before, but I'm always fascinated by what people love to do when they were young. And I was told by my nan that I was going to be an engineer because I loved playing Lego. I loved building stuff with Lego. I also loved breaking things apart and trying to figure out how they worked, and then trying to put them back together, and always leaving there being left like a few screws left over, and kind of going, oh shit, like, is this going to work or not now?
Yeah.
What were the things that really you did when, like, you were 10, or what did you love to do when you were young?
Very similar. I've always been incredibly curious. I think as a child I was just deemed irritating, and now it's like it's like a superpower. I won a golden tent peg for question asking in the late 80s, and it's still one of my proudest moments, because I was down a coal mine in North Wales, being like, so where did they buy the canaries? How long so who took them home on a weekend? Like, what did they eat? And the people are like, will you shut this girl up? Just stop her talking, please, I beg of you. And I always loved how, I was just fascinated. I'm really detail orientated. I love taking things apart. I wasn't so keen about putting them back together again. So I was one who took apart toasters. One day worked out how a razor worked in the bathroom, much to the detriment of my thumb. All sorts of bonkers things. I'd get my head stuck in the stairs because I wanted to know what would happen if I put my head down here and walk down. And next thing you know, fire engines are being called to try and get this poor child out of the stairs. Wow. And I experimented loads as well with toys and play. I had, me and my friend Emma built a seesaw by some garages. It was a very lovely place I grew up, but it sounds like we got some random shit and built some stuff. We took the metal table legs from this 80s table, coffee table, got a really long 12-foot plank, didn't attach it in any way, shape or form, but that was a seesaw. And everything was fine and dandy until Emma's cousin Gemma came over and broke her arm. And we were like, right. We probably need to evolve this a little bit. We need to change it up so it's a little bit safer. But that whole thing of just getting started, fuck it, we want a seesaw. Well, let's just fucking build one and see what happens. And just that iterative, always been like that. And I never really, I think I just assumed that was how I played. And it wasn't really me, it wasn't my characteristics as such. And I think through years of working for big corporates and being told that there's certain ways of doing things, that element of play and curiosity kind of got knocked out of me, and that playfulness. So when I went back into the startup world, and it was kind of seek forgiveness rather than permission, go and test stuff. Just, you've got an end goal in 12 weeks, just see what the fuck happens. And I used to say to founders that it was very much like a white water raft ride. We know the start and we know the end. Who knows what the hell's going to happen in the middle, but I'm going to try and make it at least fun. It might be pretty scary and dangerous, but it'll be enjoyable, and let's see what we find out. You know, if we fail, that's fine. Like, what have we learned? And just, yeah, all this, the startup world and the rhetoric and the methodology really spoke to me, and I found it really empowering and liberating. So yeah,
I love that. Thank you. And actually, I can see now when we first, like, we'd been working together and like had a few conversations before we met in person. I think as a lot of people probably go through that these days. But I remember, I think it was probably on the first night that we went kind of out for a meal or whatever. And basically this idea was instantly talked about. It was like, let's do a thing. And so quickly, and that whole thing that you just talked about, people talk and there's this rhetoric about getting started. There's these people talk about that all the time, but they don't always do it, right? Yeah. And what I kind of noticed in you instantly was you were someone that was just going to say, do you know what? Fuck it. Let's get on with it. Let's just go and do it. And who cares what happens? And I love that. And I feel like it's quite... it's exciting and inspirational even for me, who talks about these things quite often. And actually it's the way that I tend to try to work with people that, you know, my clients or whatever else, but actually seeing it so obvious, so vivid, and so so inspirational was a real joy. And hence why we're doing this right now, right? This is just really another experiment, an extension of that experimentation and curiosity, I think.
We're a pair of Labrador puppies, Spencer. We just need to go.
So that's the second thing that's never been said to me.
But this is the thing. It's difficult. And this is why I wanted to talk about my founder story as such, because I spent a long time saying to people, look, let's just go. Like, I've got the map as such, and I can work out what we need to achieve and what investors are looking for. And it was very much a case of, like, I was inside the building, they were outside the building. So they would go and be the doers. But I would have to try and help them with, you know, that mindset and being equipped for it. And don't get me wrong, though, when you're actually eating your own dog food and you start your own business and you're like, fuck, I've got to start doing the things I told people to do. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. And that's why I was so keen. So I'm currently studying a master's in positive psychology, and, you know, I'm also a coach as well. So equipping people and understanding what might be holding them back. And 1 minute it's like, this is the greatest idea I've ever known. And people are going, I'm desperate for it. And then it actually comes to execution. It's like, ooh, this feels dangerous. I don't know. And literally your nervous system won't even let you do it. And that's what all these kind of like different things I like to pull together. And I'm a guinea pig for it myself, you know, making sure that I'm living and breathing the things that I say people to do. But being that guinea pig is good because I'm able to see what works and what doesn't, test the theories, etc., like play it out. And it's a really interesting space for me, that kind of like Venn diagram between psychology, coaching, and then the actual startup methodologies. I think it's a really strong approach.
Minor camera adjustments. This is all a learning game. We're you know, we're experimenting.
I was like, and I was like, where are you going?
I had that once. I had a video and I had this overhead camera. It was ridiculously over elaborate setup, and this camera just started to come slowly down into view, and I just carried on talking until it was at like eye level. It's like, maybe I should do something about that. I love that as well. Like, I love the fact that you know, eating your own dog food, exploring some of these concepts, methodologies that we kind of preach and we talk about and we try to encourage people to use. Often it's the hardest thing to do is to use it yourself. Yeah. And so I love the fact that you're kind of going through these experimentations yourself in order to kind of see if they work, but also to really understand what it's like to put yourself into those positions. So often, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, a builder's home is never built, and, you know, a hairdresser's hair is probably dreadful, and whatever else, probably not. I don't know, maybe it's true.
No, they say, don't you, go to the bad, if there's two hairdressers in the town, go to the one with the shit hair.
Exactly. And exactly that. And I think it's a really good thing to do, but it's a really hard thing to do. Actually practicing what it is that we talk about. It's really, really tough. And actually, I had this morning. I was talking to someone that I was trying to get some advice about sales from, actually, and seeing actually whether they could support in this journey to get more leads, more sales leads, more BD stuff going. And it very quickly emerged that I don't need any support. I just need to go and do the things that I know how to do.
Yeah.
And so that was an amazing kind of affirmation point, but it also just gave me the jolt that I needed to go, right, you know what you need to do. You need to identify the customers, your proposition, explaining the benefits, all of those good things, rather than just what the product is.
Yeah.
Go and reach the top 20 people that are most suitable for your thing now, and talk to them about the benefits that you can give them, rather than trying to outsource it to someone who doesn't know what it is that I'm trying to do, which
Exactly.
is what seemed like it's the easy option, but actually isn't always. So really, really interesting stuff.
I had the exact same thing. I had a conversation with some guys down in Nottingham, Rusty Monkey, who are, my friend works for the agency. And it was really lovely, actually, because during lockdown, they were giving free sessions, like surgeries, to people who wanted to be self-employed. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to hop on that. And weirdly, I was going to do this drop shipping bonkers business, because it just felt, I don't know why it felt safe, because I didn't want to go into the high growth tech startup world. I wanted a little business that wasn't me as well. I wasn't selling me, which felt a lot safer. And I had a conversation with them. They were fantastic. And they were like, so was it you? And I was like, yeah. And I kind of couldn't work out what it was that wasn't quite right. And then I realized that they just did all the things I already knew. And I just needed me talking to me. And it was so fucking frustrating. Like, I just needed, the Rebecca who sits there as a critical friend and says, that's all great, Beck, but that's not going to get you where you need to be. Like, just do these 5 things. And those 5 things, everything else. There's a reason why coaches have coaches as well. Like, sometimes you just need someone to cut through the noise, making sure you're focusing on the right things, because often we're incredibly well equipped and we know what we should be doing, but actually it's working out potential blockers and why we're not doing them, or just being reminded of the fact that they exist. And we're being busy, and by being busy, we're not necessarily getting where we need to be. We need to just focus on what's going to get us there. Which again, is why I love OKRs. I'd kind of forgotten about them until earlier on this week. And I was like, why haven't I set some OKRs for myself? Like, that is just 101. And I think that's the difference between the different types of startups. Like, as self-employed consultants, we are selling ourselves, which is quite an odd thing to do. And actually, I'm like, well, do I need to set key results for myself, about myself? It just feels a bit meta. There's so many tools out there that it doesn't matter what kind of startup you've got, what kind of small business you've got. Actually, they're really empowering, really powerful tools. So I'm really keen that we talk about these kind of things, and anything like value proposition canvas, all this different stuff that people won't necessarily be aware of, but just a simple bit of simple. It's a really simple format. It doesn't take long, but actually it cuts through the noise. It makes things a lot easier, a lot more straightforward. You can explain something to somebody in a way that's likely to land. So yeah, I think this is where we're kind of very aligned, and hopefully we'll be imparting some interesting stuff to the people of the world.
Well, look, it sounds like a good place to start to talk and move on now, to think about what kind of things people can expect to see us talking about. I think would be quite a nice thing. And I think for us it's very much about helping people to start or to continue their journey through the startup world, the being an entrepreneur of sorts. And I think it's not necessarily we're not necessarily looking for people that are looking to start a big tech scale up or anything like that. And maybe it's just 1 or 2 things that can help you as a solopreneur, or as an individual person that's doing a side gig or a side project. And hopefully some of the tools and methodologies that we may teach or we may practice ourselves, actually distilled in a way that makes sense and gives you actionable next steps. There's so much theory out there. You can find out all of this stuff, but it's the next steps that are relevant to you as an individual that I think are really hard for people to kind of grasp and to navigate through. So that's, I think, what we're going to try to do. Have I summed that up right?
I think so.
Anything
Yeah,
I've
and
missed?
the other thing we were speaking about is in the current climate, people need to be making the right choices. It's, you know, it's potentially a great time to invest in doing something. And whether it's a case of, you know, you realize actually you have to take your own luck now and make that happen, or make your own luck, sorry, or whether it's a case of you know, you're in a position where you need to create a job from somewhere, you need to create an income, you know, you want to create a side hustle. And I'm really keen on getting the right tools in the hands of those people to make sure that they fail ideas fast, they're picking the right thing, they're picking something that suits them, they're crafting their world so the business works for them, and actually they can get where they want to be. And I think that's hugely important. I think that's something that we both kind of share as an important thing.
Absolutely. Cool. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm excited to start this with you, but I'm excited to learn as well. You know, I don't think we've been around the block a few times. The
eye bags. Yes, the eye bags on me.
Right, look at this. I'm blaming my cat. I'm sure I've got an allergy to...
I was going to say, was your cat's keeping you awake at night? Is he playing bongos or something? Like what?
Yeah. A little bit of that, truth be told. I thought this lighting was going to be good for me, but I think it's accentuating my bags and my wrinkles even more. But yeah, I'm genuinely excited to learn. I think you can never stop. And that's probably another topic for another time. Being an infinite learner, all of those kinds of things as well. How are we going to wrap up this show?
I'm not sure. You're the professional. I'm just a glamorous sidekick. So we're fucked on both points, to be fair.
I mean, yeah, I'll take it. So thank you. If you've got this far.
Yes, well done. Your medal's in the post.
Well done. Yeah. If you did, like, drop us a note in the comments, wherever you've seen this, and just give us a high five. It would mean the world to us. If you found something valuable, then let us know, because this is a whole experiment for us. We're just trying to figure out what content we want to create, but also what we think resonates with people. So it'll be amazing to hear any feedback from you all. If you really liked it, of course, like it, share it, subscribe, and never, ever forget to hit that notification bell. Don't really know what that does, but hey, it's what people say, so I'm saying it again. Final words on the spot. Final words, Bex.
Go on. I would just say as well, if anyone's got a specific problem that they would like us to look at, like, oh, I love like specifics, drop us a line about something, you know, something you're struggling with, something you're not sure on whether you should invest your time with, anything like that. We'll put an email address up. Yeah, give us something tangible to work with. Happy to give you some free consultancy. There you go. What about that offer?
You can't grumble at that.
Exactly.
Black Friday.
There's the deals.
Right there. The deals. Let's do a deal here. Subscribe and you will get your answer to any question about startups.
Exactly.
Scale-ups, entrepreneurship,
side
learning,
hustles,
life, psychology,
cats.
All the things. Cats,
all the funds. Like, I'm happy to answer.
I've got so many questions about that. Let's leave it for now. We are like over time, whatever the time was.
Let's let these poor people go and do something better with their time.
Absolutely. But we're going to try and do this weekly. Yeah, fingers crossed we're able to do that. We'll see you next week.
Yes. See you on the flip side.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Whoop, 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 whoop.